So you want to become a wedding photographer, that is fantastic. Let me tell you my tips and tricks to get started, and I'll tell you what I did that went wrong and things that I wish I had done from the very beginning. So let's get started. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to become a wedding photographer is genuinely build up a portfolio. So you may be thinking, well, I don't have any weddings booked. How am I going to build up a portfolio? Well, it's super simple. There are so many workshops out there currently that you can just join. There's a small fee depending on how extreme the workshop is, and you can start taking photos of couples this week, next month, whenever, to basically build your portfolio up. You can't really sell your photography if you don't have any of your own work to show. So I definitely start looking at workshops first, because that is genuinely a great starting point. It's also really good to practice posing couples, because that is super important, but also to get your camera settings right and experience these venues. These venues can be difficult to shoot at. The lighting can be wrong. The backdrop might not be ideal for you. So simply photographing your friends and family isn't enough to get you started in wedding photography. So definitely start doing some workshops. If workshops aren't for you, there is something called the styled shoot. So styled shoots, you will join a team of wedding suppliers to basically make a fake wedding. And it's super simple. You just go off a theme, a color, or a location, like a venue that you want to shoot at. And then you have a model couple, you all get together and you start creating content. It's great for also Instagram content, because that's super important to build up. So another thing you can do is also start offering free wedding photography, which is quite controversial. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but if you really want to start somewhere, there are always people that want a free photographer for their wedding because they're trying to stay within budget, or simply having a shotgun wedding, or just genuinely are happy to have anyone photograph their wedding. The problem with these is you will find clients don't value their photos as much as you would want them to, so they will not pay you a single penny. You can potentially start offering a discounted package saying, hey, I'm just getting started, just cover the costs of me being there for the day, such as my travel fees and my food, and a small fee such as, £200, even £50 if you want to go that low. But that way they will see a bit more value in you being there, and it's better than having free weddings. The problem though with having free weddings or super discounted wedding packages is that you may attract the wrong clients, and these wrong clients might not be ideal for your portfolio. So if you are wanting to go into high-end weddings, luxury weddings, these gorgeous venues, black tie weddings, you will not really find you might do, but you won't find that if you're offering free weddings. You might find sort of hotel weddings in sort of a lounge or a village hall weddings, and there's nothing wrong with that for practice. But in terms of portfolio worthiness, I found that when I did free weddings, I didn't really use the content from it. I just used the experience and my mind to kind of know what not to do. So if you go into free weddings or discounted weddings, be aware that the content and the portfolio that you end up with may not necessarily be sellable in future, but you will gain valuable experience. Another thing you can do is also start being a second photographer, and this is basically being someone on the day that shadows another photographer, the main photographer for the wedding. However, you can't just go in there offering, hey, can I come to the wedding with you and be your second photographer? Because ideally, most people that have a second photographer are relying on them to be the backup. So they are the people that will be getting the extra angles, the extra shots. So if you don't have the camera knowledge or the wedding experience, then you may produce content for the main photographer that isn't good for them, and they won't have you back. So instead of saying, can I be your second photographer, it's also offering them value. So you'd approach the situation, maybe you message someone on Instagram, you say something along the lines of, hey, I would love to come to the next wedding with you. I would love to come and shadow and see how you work, but also I want to make sure that you get content out of it. So I'll make sure I have loads of phone footage behind the scenes, and I'll also help you on the day coordinate the guests, and also maybe just carry a bag or two if you need help. And whilst I'm there, I would love to just maybe photograph my own photos to get some content. What do you say? So that is such a better message than saying to someone, I don't know why I'm doing this, you're not gonna ring them, it's 2023. Messaging someone and saying, hey, can I be a second photographer? Because 9 times out of 10 people will just say no. So if someone messaged me personally and said, hey, can can I come along with you to a wedding and I will, you know, shadow you and get you some behind the scenes content, because everyone on Instagram needs behind the scenes? I would probably say yes, because it's very rare that I take a second person to a wedding with me. And if I do, it's normally a paid second shooter that the client has requested. So I need someone that's going to be reliable and knows how to use a camera. So I would start down that route first and essentially just offer your time and effort on the day and not necessarily say, I am your second photographer. So that is kind of the main ways to kind of really get your foot in the door and build a portfolio. In terms of getting clients, I will do an entire different video on how to build clients, what the CRM is. If you don't know what that is, we will cover that. So what I did personally myself when I wanted to become a wedding photographer is I did the freebies. And as I warned you earlier, I did get content that I didn't want to use on my own websites, and they weren't ideal. So the weddings were amazing. It was great for experience. They were full day weddings where I did everything from bridal prep all the way to the first dance. So I knew how a wedding worked. I knew how the coordination worked. I knew kind of how weddings, you know, panned out throughout the day. And that is invaluable. You need to know as a wedding photographer what things need to happen. So in terms of getting started, if you want to kind of know the ins and outs of a day, free or discounted weddings are ideal. But if you want to start off with a very strong portfolio and start building and attracting those clients, I would definitely start with workshops or styled shoots. I have also got a styled shoot guide. So if you're interested in doing a styled shoot, I will link that below somewhere where you can download and even have your own mood board. I've done everything for you, the hard work, and I've got an entire blog post on how to do a styled shoot, from getting in touch with suppliers, different avenues to get in touch with suppliers, getting venues, all of that is covered in that blog post, which I'll link later. So that's what I did first. I went for the freebies and I started building up that way. Then I essentially just started reposting as much content on my Instagram as possible when I started doing workshops. So I started at a weird time because it was 2020, 2021, like, worst time to start a business. But essentially workshops started to trickle in and I started to join them, and I started to learn how to pose couples, and I also learned how to use my camera properly as well, which is super, super important. So I definitely, if you only do one or two, definitely do a workshop. There are so many workshops out there. I can link a few if you want to, but essentially you can just go on Instagram and type in photography workshop and things will come up as well. Then you kind of need to know what kind of style or client you want to attract. And that is super important, because what people do at the very beginning, and I'm guilty of it too, is you will just take on every wedding because you are like, this is a potential booking, I need to take it, I need to make money. The downside with that is you start booking everyone and anything and everywhere, and your portfolio will look so varied. You are just a mash of different styles and colors and couples. So if you kind of niche down from the very beginning, if you know from the very beginning, I just want to do black tie weddings, or I just want to do, you know, sort of woodland weddings or boho weddings, or I want to do super colorful weddings or farm weddings, whatever. If you start doing workshops based around that and building a portfolio, clients that have that type of wedding will be attracted to you and your work and will more likely hire you. So from the very beginning, you are starting to build your brand and you're starting to build your business, and people will come to you. So let's talk about an example of that metaphorically. So if I had an illness, if I had, I don't know, like some sort of skin disease, and a really bad example, but I could either choose to go to a GP, which is a general practitioner here in the UK, and they deal with everybody. So whatever kind of sickness you have, you just go to the doctor. Or would I choose to go to a specialist skin doctor? What kind of results would I get if I went to the GP versus the skin doctor? Naturally, I would go towards the skin doctor because I would know that they have more understanding about what I need and how to cure me and what kind of results I will get. Whereas the general practitioner may kind of give me something, but not everything. So that metaphor is really useful for this in terms of photography, because if you niche down and you decide what type of weddings you want, you will attract those clients. So if you want to be black tie and kind of luxury, if you just kind of show that on your portfolio, clients that have that type of wedding or want that wedding will come to you, versus someone that wants like a farm wedding. Those people won't come to you. So it's really important to, if you want a strong portfolio, it's really important to niche down at the very beginning. Then investing in equipment is crucial. Obviously, investing in equipment is expensive and you don't have the money at the start. Maybe you do, great if you do, but most people, including myself, didn't have that. So all you need is a basic camera at the very beginning. As long as it takes good photos and it is semi kind of professional, maybe you can take the lenses off. So you want to have hopefully 2 lenses. You want to have a lens on the day that is kind of your be all end all. Most people go for the 50 millimeters and then maybe like a wide or a zoom lens. And the reason you need 2 lenses is because let's say something goes wrong and you bang your lens on the wedding day and you only have 1 camera, you have to go home. You have no other options. You've got nothing else. So if you bang your lens, you can just interchange it and have a backup lens. Yes, it may be a slightly wider or smaller aperture, so you're further off, closer with your photos, but you need to have that backup. It's super important. These are people's wedding days. We can't mess around. It has to be right. So you will hopefully start investing in equipment slowly, but what I'd say is try and buy secondhand. And there are so many options to buy secondhand. You can go to places like Jessup's or any sort of camera store that have refurbished models, and they're a lot cheaper than buying it brand new. Brand new is great for kind of keeping a warranty, but for the most part, I've never really needed it. So I've bought most of my equipment secondhand. And maybe you're at the point that you don't know what equipment you want. Maybe you want to have this lens but you're considering this lens. What I'd do is I'd hire the equipment first, and you can try it out maybe at a workshop or a styled shoot, or if you're feeling daring, try it out at a wedding. I have hired lenses for weddings, so you can do that. There are a few websites, I'll link them below, but there are a few websites that you can use, such as Fat Llama, where you hire, it's a weird name, but Fat Llama, you can hire lenses from people that own them. So let's say I wanted to make a few extra bucks and someone borrowed my lens, I could put that on Fat Llama and I would hire it for maybe a few days. So you could do that, but you could also use a professional company that does hire things out. So there is another one called Lens Pimp. Why are these names so weird? But Lens Pimp, they will ship the lens to you or the camera body to you. You use it and then you ship it back. It's super simple. So in the long run, hiring will not be cost effective, but if you are just wanting to start out and figure out what works for you, genuinely just try and do that. And maybe you've only got 2 or 3 weddings this year. You don't need to invest into a £3,000 camera and lenses. You could just spend a few £100s or dollars on something like hiring them, and then you kind of, when it gets to a busy season and you have the money, you can invest in buying that camera. So don't break the bank at the beginning, because then you will be hating yourself. You will genuinely not know why you're doing this because you're not making any money. Just hire the equipment first. So personally, I started off with 1 main camera and I had interchangeable lenses. I had a Lumix. Now I've moved over to Sony's, and I bought 1 Sony camera first and then I bought the second one, and both of those were secondhand. And the lenses have just kind of come over time. I have hired a few of my own lenses. I'm looking down there because I'm looking at my camera, but essentially this one, for example, so this is a 90mm macro. This is probably my most recent lens, and I bought this because I thought, I need it. I wanted a macro shots, and that came over time. I have probably about 5 or 6 lenses now, and this is kind of one that I was thinking about it for a while, and then I finally had some bookings and I had the extra money and I went for it. And I bought it secondhand. So it's just slowly building up your equipment as you go along. Now, if you are doing videography as well, then things like microphones and tripods, again, get them secondhand or use the Amazon basics. Like if you're just starting out and your prices are fairly kind of reasonable on the lower side, people aren't going to expect you to do, well, hopefully people won't expect you to do a full cinematic sort of feel or film. So I wouldn't worry too much at the very beginning about equipment. Just take it easy and don't break the bank. So Instagram is a must. If you are a photographer, you will need a good Instagram. There's no doubt about it. So get that started first. Whether you are posting like your logo or your face or whatever, you need something on there so people can reach out for you and you can share that to people as you go along. So you need to start with an Instagram. I would even start with Instagram first before you start your own website. Websites are great in terms of a place where people can contact you and fill out a form, but most days people can just send you a DM. So if you're just starting out, just start out with an Instagram, and the website will come later as you become more professional and you want to have a bigger portfolio and it's basically an online platform to get leads from Google as well. So I would start off with Instagram. Then when you're feeling confident, I would just go to somewhere such as Squarespace or Wix or Showit. Showit is apparently amazing. I've personally not used it, but I know people do use it. So just starting out a basic website, using a free template and just building a basic website. I wouldn't go too crazy with branding. That can come later. As long as you've got a basic name and a logo and you can design that for free on Canva, it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, just something basic. And disclaimer, I have changed my logo probably about 6 times since I started. I started this business in 2019 and I have changed my logo so many times. Like, I don't know if I can show examples, but genuinely they have changed over and over. And I've changed the brand name as well. So you don't have to start and say, okay, this is it. You can change your logo and your brand name as you go along when you discover who you want to be. So first of all, Instagram, then go to a website. And when you are making a website, you don't need a full website. One landing page will do. One landing page that has your logo, some portfolio pictures, a picture of you, and that is super important. You need to make sure that you show your face. The market of photographers is so saturated, so you need to make sure that people know what you look like and at least kind of maybe like resonate with you if they recognize you and they see you out and about. But essentially you need to have a landing page with those basic things and then maybe a contact form at the end. So most website providers allow you to put a contact form in. It's kind of simple. It's a bit fiddly if you've never done that before, but you just literally write your contact form in there, and then people, if they are interested, could request a brochure or pricing with you as well. So literally one landing page will do. You don't need loads of links. You don't need link to family photography, my wedding photography, check out the About Me page. You don't need that. Just one simple page is perfect. So they're the basic things to get started doing your wedding photography. So let me just recap, because I've said so much, and make sure that it's very clear. So you need to build a portfolio. From the very beginning, build a portfolio. So go to styled shoots and workshops, and then hopefully you will start niching down on what type of photographer you want to be and the style, and you'll develop your style there as well. Then you could do some free or discounted weddings to gain that practical experience around wedding photography. So knowing the ins and outs of a wedding day is super important. So this is kind of nothing to do with the aesthetic of what it looks like. This is just knowing how a wedding day runs. You are a photographer, and sometimes the photographer ends up being a coordinator on the day. So you kind of need to have that experience. So definitely start with building a portfolio and doing some kind of lower budget weddings, and then maybe some second shooting and approaching it differently. Don't just be like, I want to be a second photographer for you, can I do it? They're going to say no. Basically make sure that you are offering exactly what you can provide, which is shadowing them on the day, giving them behind the scenes content, and hopefully making some of your own photos whilst you're there. And then we are talking about equipment. So just a basic camera and hiring things as you go along. And when you have a bit of extra pocket money, maybe invest. But if you're only just starting out and you're doing a few weddings throughout the year, hiring equipment is absolutely fine. Then you want to start off your Instagram. So Instagram is super important. You will have had your own photos created if you've done your workshops, and then you can put them on your Instagram and you're good to go. So once you've got your Instagram sorted, you can maybe think about doing a website, but as a photographer, you super need an Instagram. That's where everybody is. That's where I get most of my leads. So most of my clients will find me on Instagram. So it's super important to get that started now and start building your page there. So that's the basics in terms of starting your own wedding photography business. I am going to have so much content for you if you are interested in starting your own wedding photography business. I'll have videos on how to get clients, everything about websites, landing pages, how to use Instagram, social media, second photography. Like, there's so much. So if you are interested in learning more, and you will do on this channel, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. I'm super excited to help you. And thank you so much for watching my video. See you later. Bye bye.